And I want to encourage you and invite you to go and watch this video because here's what I saw. When I asked you that question and you started talking about that story, there was a light in your voice and in your face. And it brought me back to what I always tell my son: memories over money. This life, I want you to make memories. Everything that my wife and I do. I wanted to make sure I got the name correct because I should have asked you prior, but my listeners know me very, very, very much. I'm very transparent. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I own up to it. And I should have asked, is it pronounced Siegel or Segal?
Yes. Nope. The first, Siegel.
Okay, okay, good, good. And you know what? That reminds me real quick. I'm gonna tell you this joke that my son told me. And because usually he just went to fourth grade, so usually the jokes are just, like you laugh just because you want to just, like, yeah, son, that's a good joke, right? But this one he got me, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. So he said, Dad, um why don't seagulls fly over the bay? And I'm like, oh my goodness. In my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness. This is, it's going to be one of those ones. I was like, I don't know, son. Why? He said, because then there'll be bagels. I was like, yes. That's a good one. So that reminded me of your name there. So I'm excited to have you here today. Do me a favor, though,
Yes.
because our listeners, they're going to be able to read about, maybe a bio on a screen, but I love for them to hear from the person who they are. So take a few moments. Tell the listeners who you are, what you're about, and why you're here today.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Kim Siegel, and I have been a nurse RN at the same hospital for 34 years. And with that, I reinvented myself, and I hurt my knee and didn't know if I could still run the floor, still be at the hospital doing my thing. And after two knee surgeries and some worry, I decided to be a certified health and life coach. So I've gone full circle, still helping people, still loving on people, and decided to go down that adventure. So I help women design their life, help them design it uniquely the way they want it. I'm like a genie in a bottle that they can go after their dreams and find that motivation that they know that they want to do it. And I get that all the time. I want to do it, but I don't know how to do it or how to get started or how to push myself there. But I feel like we are meant to do hard things. We are meant to push the boundaries of our life and live a wonderful life so that when we get to the end, which is morbid, but when we get to the end of life, we can say, well done. I lived a great life. I have peace about my life. I left this place better than I came into it. And that's what I want for everybody.
And I love that you just packaged so much into that moment that I was just like, I got to break it down. And I love the fact that you kind of saying we know what we want to do, we just don't know how to do it right, and kind of a thing. And that's one of the things that I really work to try to show people is that our mindsets we can restructure, right? Because look at some of the top professional athletes out there. They are at the top of their game. They know what they're doing, but they still have coaches. They still have someone that says, hey, I'm seeing something different than what you are. Because when we're in the box, when we're in that bubble, we don't see what other people can see. It's like when we're in a relationship and someone says, do you see the way that they're treating you? And you're like, no, because you're so in love in the puppy dog faces, right? So, and I
That's
love the
right.
fact that you said that, and it's so true. Now, we're going to have some people who probably listening to this, and they're going to say, okay, I hear you, but how do I maybe start? Like, and that's probably the one I think the hardest thing about it, right? We know we want that, but what's that first step? So you have someone who's maybe going to get in contact with you, and they're going to reach out. What do you tell them to say, all right, here's my plan on how I help my potential clients and coaches? I start with A and I take you here. How do you work with them on that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like you need to bridge the gap. You start with where you're at and where you want to be because everybody's unique. Some people don't want to be that marathon runner. They just want the 5K. That's their dream. So I take them where they want to go, not where I see where I want to go or where they should go. That's number 1. Number 2 is I want you to I teach them about book ending their day, going from setting up the morning of your day, what you want, where you want to go, what are the 3 things that you want to do during that day that's going to propel you forward into that gift, into that goal that you have for your life, even if it's just volunteering, because I help a lot of retired people and they go, I'm bored, I don't have friendships, I need to be around more people, I have gifts that I can give people. So we set up our goals, and then in the end of the day, this is bookending your day, we evaluate your day. We go through on a scale 1 to 10. How well did you go towards your goals? How well did you eat today? Did you get enough sleep today? Because what you do in 72 hours affects your day right now. Your last 72 hours affects you right now. So we evaluate what you have done, where you have gone, and then we move you forward on that transition.
Yeah, those are some of those important things because it's like we sometimes, and okay, so for someone who may be listening for the first time to a podcast and who don't know that I'm a retired veteran. And I always say this because we are trained to say thank you for your service, and I'm working to restructure it. I want you to tell a veteran the next time you see them, thank you for your sacrifice. Because as veterans,
Mm-hmm.
we sacrifice so much more than we serve time away from the family, injuries, mental health, so many things. Try it and see the smile on that veteran's face versus when you say thank you for your service, right? But the reason why I say that is because we I've seen so many things when I've lived and traveled the world. And in America, one of the things that I say that is so disheartening is that we identify ourselves with our work. If we lose our job, like you were saying, you got your knee hurt and then you had to re kind of structure your life, well, it almost feels like we don't know who we are. We lose ourselves. And I lived in so many other countries where they look at when an introduction happens, for an example, right? Someone say, "Hey, what do you do?" They tell their hobbies first. Hey, I love to bicycle. I love to hike. And then as an American, I go, no, no, no. I mean your job. What do you do? Like, who are you? And they're like, that's not who I am. That's just what I do. Right. So I love how you were saying you work with what they need, not directly with um, what you want the goal to be, right? Because ultimately it's all about helping them get to where they're at. And I absolutely love that. And now you say you work with women primarily, maybe you can, expound upon this, maybe you throw in some gentlemen's here and there, but that is there like not specific, but a general um, uh, age portion, seasoned veteran that you work with, because you said people who retire and whatnot. And I definitely can see that. And that's kind of what I was leading into, right? They've worked this corporate job, they worked this job for 30 years. Now it's like, I don't know what to do. So, how do you embrace that and then, kind of guide them into that to show them?
Yes. Yeah, it's I work with women that have are recent empty nesters that have transition spots, empty nesters, recently divorced, just lost a job, or have retired. These are all moments of discovery, moments of uncertainty. So that's the spots that usually people reach out. I'd love for people just to reach out just because they have that. uneasiness in their body that they go, I'm not living my best life. Those are the people that I work with, the ones that say, I want more for my life, but I don't know how to get there. So I always, a lot of the retirees, their friendships are connected with their job. And a lot of times they don't cultivate, they don't nurture their friendships. So I have a thing that I take them through on, it's called a friendship portfolio. So where making sure that just like your investments are diverse, I want your friendships to be diverse. So that's one thing. Another thing I take them through is, what did you enjoy as a kid through each one of your seasons of life? 0 to 10, 10 to 20, all the way up. And what was things that made you happy back then? And we expand it and we look at the possibilities. You might not want to be a basketball superstar anymore, but you love basketball. How can I get you into that environment that you so much enjoy, but maybe it's being the security guard at your local basketball team, or maybe it's keeping score, or it's looking at the possibilities of where you're at in life as maybe a retired person, or you always ran when you were a kid. So what can we do today that brings you up to where what you love, but maybe it looks a little bit different?
Listen, you are dropping some extremely great gems, and I'm absolutely here for it, right? Because this is that stuff that people they may they may be thinking exactly what you're saying, but they don't know how to maybe focus it into to putting it into work, right? We get motivated. We go to church, we do whatever, we get motivated, but then we lose that motivation a little bit. And I love the fact that you're saying it's a journey. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take some work, but at the end, it's going to be enjoyable. And I know that you have well, I don't want to say private, but I know you have a group that's very close to what I do as well. But I want to say this to people: there is so much room for people. I don't care that we work in a similar space or whatever, because people may hear I say exactly the same thing, but they may relate to what you say or the way you work with them so differently. And I just want them to get the help. I don't care if it's from me. I don't care. So tell us a little bit about your group, how people can find it, why they may want to be a part of it. And I'm showing people this collaboration is how we grow. I don't care. Just just improve. That's all I want. So please share some information about that and let people know, what it's going to do for them.
Yes, yes. I have recently changed my name of my group because I thought I want positivity, and I thought mine had a little bit of a negative sadness or whatever, because it was about regrets and all. So the name of my group is Design Your Life. It's my Facebook group. You're welcome. Love for you to join. It's support for you in that. And then I have a 14-week audio course that I put people through, and then it's 6 months of weekly coaching that you get and collaborate with people that are struggling with the same thing. So it's awesome. It is so good to be around other people that are going, you know what, I'm not living my best life, but we can encourage, just like you said, encourage each one together. And excuse me. And that's called Worthy Life Without Regrets, because we are all worth to have a great life, no matter where you're at, no matter if you maybe don't have a lot of money, maybe even if you're you have the struggles. You are worth having your best life. And it's looking at the simple. You don't have to go on crazy trips. You don't have to go and do things. You can have your best life in your little town, on your farm, um, and that might be your dream. And I just want to get you to your dream.
Listen, there it is in a nutshell, right? You hit it on the head. And again, that kind of comes full circle back to what I was referring to earlier about how I'm working to break kind of some of the societal norms when I said you can wear white after Labor Day, right? I know that we put so much pressure on material things that if you don't have then you haven't amounted to. If you don't have a career by 30, then you're not, you know, and it's not the case. Everyone has a different journey and a different time speed. You have to be open to adjusting to yours. And I absolutely love that. And it's so funny because you said also, and I kind of preface that by saying we have a closely similar kind of mindset in groups, and yours is called Design Your Life. Mine is called Redesign Your Life. So, and that's absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, that's we didn't know each other, and that was, so it absolutely works with that. Now, you talked about a trip. Let's get into this because I know, and matter of fact, I want you to tell me if this has happened because I know when we first spoke, you were talking about doing something for a motorcycle ride or something like that. If or I'm trying to
I
remember, bicycle, like two wheels, oh, like the pedal. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want you to touch on that, and then I want you to touch on the hiking trip that you're planning. Tell us why. Tell us why now. Tell us you're designing that portion. Like, in case someone's out there listening, what I want them to do, because this is who my message is for. That person who is getting to work, who is sitting inside their vehicle, contemplating getting out and going into that job because they hate it. They're listening to the radio. They're listening to this podcast episode. Please don't get fired because you're listening to the episode. If you got to go to work, don't be late. Okay, you can listen a little bit later. But I want that person who's saying like, I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I want to go hike the Grand Canyon. Let your words inspire them. So please tell us about the bicycle trip that you were talking about, and then also the Grand Canyon. I want to hear this.
Yes. Yeah. Back to the person that's burnt out. A lot of times, our words are very powerful. And I feel like that when you have the words, I hate my job, I don't like this, I have to go to work, it changes your mindset of going into that job. So instead of going into that job with that negativity, this job has served you well. This job is supplying food and a head over your shoulder, over your head, and it is a blessing. And you have a choice to change it. But you need, if you're staying in that job, you need to figure out how to love that job. And your words matter. Your words matter on that. And so you need to say, thank you. Thank you for this job. And I'm going to figure out how I can love the job or love the people that I work with, one or the other. And I'm going to look at it through a different lens, through a different filter, so that I can enjoy this. Because, a lot of people that are listening to this are getting up in age that they're going, man, it would be hard to change my job at this time in my life. And if that's not the choice that you want to make, then how can I make this job interesting? How can I increase my knowledge, increase my skills, love it again? So that's caveat, but very important to share. My bicycle ride. I love to bicycle. My dad, who's 81, and I bicycled together, and my 5-year-old grandbaby. They didn't go on this trip because it's too much. It's called Ragbri. It is the bicycle ride across Iowa. Happens every year. This year it was their 50th anniversary, and I brought 6 of my friends up to Iowa, and we biked 525 miles in 7 days. It was awesome. One day it was 111 degrees. Um, what heat index, and that day we rode 81 miles. But we can do hard things, and that's what pushes you. Bicycling isn't always fun, but it is fun. So how can I push my body? How can I enjoy it? How can I um, know that my body is able to do that? So that's kind of my bicycle ride in a nutshell.
These are the kind of stories that I'm like, hold on, wait a second. Let me double take because I'm gonna have to re-listen. Did she just say 111 something degrees and you all riding with 80 something miles? Hey, I can't even do that. So I'm let me hold on, where's my applause button? Let me give you some applause here. I love those kind of stories because there is someone out there who's listening to this who's probably saying, you know what, I like you said, I'm about to retire. I don't know what to do, and their identity's lost, and maybe they hear that and they go, wait a second, I like to bike. Maybe I can get my family to do. It could inspire and unlock some sort of space in the back of their mind that they forgot about a love that they had. Right? Maybe I
Yeah.
could garden again. Maybe something, and I really really love that. And so we're going to get ready to wrap up here, but I want you to maybe give some final words, give some thoughts that you feel can bring this whole thing together, bring someone to understanding of why they should design their life the way they want it. Just whatever you're feeling right now, I want the floor to be yours.
Aw, thank you. So when you were talking about that, I thought of my dad. He was 48 years old when the doctor told him, your knees aren't good. He had knee surgery, and we don't want you walking as much. Bicycling or swimming would be a lot better on your knees. And he goes, man, I haven't biked since I was a kid, but I enjoyed it. So he started biking, and we started biking, and we started biking as a family, and the kids were little at that time. And he's biked 100 miles in a day. He biked 80 miles on his 79th birthday. And you know, I remember going on a trip with him up to Iowa because we were doing trails together, and seeing him go down a hill and hit the bridge and come across, and he looked like a kid. He was 79 years old, and I thought, I will never forget this moment right here. I see him enjoying, I see him acting like a kid. He looked 13 going down, and you just have to do it. You have to see where you're at and go, you know what? I can ride 1 mile. I can ride 2 miles, and I can increase for that. I can enjoy. The thing with biking is you can have great solitude and enjoy the weather, enjoy the environment, but also you have camaraderie of friendship. You have the friends and the bicycle group, and getting to know these people and get to exercise at the same time. It is, I feel like it's the best thing ever. I really, truly love my bicycle group with all my heart.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, okay, please keep in mind that we also have a video portion, and you can go check it out. It's on our YouTube page. And one of the things, oh, let me see if this button works. So there it is. That's my YouTube page at Black Negus. And for those who listen, I've had people writing about this who understand the word actually means royalty and king. It's so yeah. Anyways, but I want to encourage you and invite you to go and watch this video because here's what I saw. When I asked you that question and you started talking about that story, there was a light in your voice and in your face. And it brought me back to what I always tell my son. memories over money. This life, I want you to make memories. Everything that my wife and I do right now, we do for the process of him having memories. So when he's 35, he can tell his kids, my dad and my mom, we used to do this. We used to go fishing, and this was one of my favorite things as a kid. Or we used to go to this pond. If maybe he comes back to the town, that he moves away and he comes back to show them where he lived. And now he's taking, that's what I want to build for him. And when you were telling that story, I could see the passion and the joy of you saying that's so. I encourage you to go watch the video as well if you're listening to this podcast. I sincerely appreciate this. And this has put a big smile on my face for my day, and I'm pumped and I'm excited. So, thank you very much for being a part of Redesign Your Life. And, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you design your life. So, but stick with me for 1 second. I'm going to end this and pay some of these bills, and I'm come right back and finish up with you. Okay? Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in once again to Redesign Your Life, the podcast again that is brought to you for helping you scale and go into where you want to be, and let you know that it's okay to think outside of the box. And while you are in the process of redesigning your life, why don't you go ahead and start to redesign your home with Pier One? Make sure you check out Pier One at lionflood.com/Pier One. That's LionFludd.com/Pier One for a 50% off, buy one, get one free. That's on our site. Please make sure you check them out. Thank you very much for taking a moment and listening. And I want you to continue to live while you are alive. Till next time.